everyone. Kim Giannoni from the Paradise Investment Team here with Remax in Jaco Beach. And today we're going to talk to Malcolm Bertram, who is a business coach and a back and forth resident here in Costa Rica, who is going to tell us a little bit about his recent travels from Costa Rica back to the States. Hi, Malcolm.
Hello. So, yes, June 11th, a week ago today, I was on the, quote, repatriation flight that United Airlines has been flying a couple times a week for the past couple of months. And I certainly wanted to wait. I stayed happily 5 weeks longer than I anticipated in Jaco. But it was time to get back for a multitude of reasons, business, personal, and it's summertime here on Cape Cod, or so they say. It's 65 degrees. Anyway, so traveling to the airport, easy drive from Jaco up to San Jose, walked into the airport, and there was literally nobody there. It was really strange. The where you go to the desk to check in, check bags, there were 5 people at the United stand and nobody else. It was the only flight going that day. So had a nice chat through immigration. They asked me what was up, how you doing. Never asked me how I felt, never took my temperature, never made me sign anything that you can't come back until they open the borders and, you know, you'll be fined, penalized, and banished for 5 years or whatever it is. So it was weird. Again, you go upstairs, you go to the gate, all of the shopping, I call it the gauntlet they make you go through because they want you to spend your last nickel on the way out of town. All closed up, all had a sheet up in front. You couldn't buy anything to eat, nothing to drink, not a magazine, nothing. So walked down to the gate, which was at the very end. We were the only one there. The plane was more full than I anticipated or that I thought I cared about. And in a freak out 12 hours before my flight, I get a notice that, you know, oh, we've changed the equipment and we moved your seat to a middle seat. It's like, okay, so that really does. I don't fly a middle seat when it's not COVID-19 or repatriation or whatever they call it. Spoke to the man very nicely, told him I appreciated his work and his job, and he moved me right to the front of the plane with an empty middle seat on the aisle. So it all worked out.
Nice.
Fly to Texas. The airport in Houston was empty. Couple of flights going, but generally empty. Because landed in Houston, and then my connecting flight was not until the next morning, some 15 hours later. So off to the hotel, which had no services, no food, and hardly anybody there. Not a big deal. Up the next morning, onto the flight, maybe 2/3 full from Houston to Boston. No worries, both flights, everybody was wearing a mask. Nobody made a stink. They weren't too insistent everybody was doing what they were supposed to do. And the nice thing is when you're having something to eat or drinking, which they gave you little bags of snacks, of course you could take the mask off. So if you sat there with a cup of your water in your hand, you didn't have to wear the mask. So landed in Boston in a thunderstorm and flew through immigration, and the most questions anybody asked me coming back into the States nobody asked me how I felt, where I was going to quarantine. The state police officer on the way out the door asked me what it was like in Costa Rica and how long was I there, and tell me all about it. So that was the trip.
Okay, so great travels, nice and easy and interesting, different from what we're hearing on TV and what the media is putting out there, that we have to, sign waivers and temperature checks and everything. So, but I'm glad to hear your trip went well. And
it did. It is different back here in the States. They do expect you to wear a face mask everywhere you go. if you are out and about on your bicycle or doing other stuff, you don't have to wear it. And it's really, if you can't social distance, please put on a mask. And then stores, restaurants, anything of a consumer fashion here, you have to have a mask on in order to go inside. So that's very different. And talking about my trip a week ago, I am now 7 days into my 14-day self-quarantine. And so kind of doing the same thing I was when I was in Hong Kong.
Can't wait to get out.
Oh, seriously.
Well, Malcolm, thank you for taking the time to quickly tell us about your trip. We really appreciate it. And good luck in your last week of quarantine.
Thank you.